Arkangel, Parental Surveillance and Biocontrol, Black Mirror Explained. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, and this is Black Mirror Decoded, the series where we break down dystopian fiction not as metaphor, but as documentation. Today's episode, Arkangel, takes us into one of the most emotionally complex and ethically volatile territories of all, parental control in the age of neural surveillance. The premise is deceptively simple. A mother agrees to have her daughter implanted with a cutting-edge device called Arkangel, a neural chip that allows real-time GPS tracking, biometric monitoring, and even live stream access to everything the child sees and hears. But there's one feature that pushes it from security into domination: the filter. With a swipe on a tablet, the mother can blur out anything the child sees as disturbing: violence, sexual content, threats, even the sight of her own blood. Fear is erased, discomfort is removed, conflict is prevented. At first glance, Arkangel seems like the logical next step in protective parenting. But as the child grows, so does the cost. Because what begins as safety becomes surveillance. What begins as protection becomes emotional control. And what begins as love becomes domination through design. This episode was released in 2017. Since then, nearly every element of Arkangel has entered our real-world technological landscape. Let's begin with the most obvious: GPS child trackers. Today, it's common for children to wear GPS-enabled watches or carry location-sharing phones. Apps like Life 360 allow parents to monitor not just where their kids are, but how fast they're traveling, how often they stop, even how hard they brake while driving. Some tools go further, tracking sleep cycles, heart rate, and stress levels in real time. Marketed as peace of mind, these systems are quietly reshaping the definition of parenting. They move from guidance to micromanagement, from trust to total oversight. Now layer in emotion tracking wearables. Devices like Moodbeam, Fitbit Sense, and other biometric tools are designed to detect fluctuations in mood, stress, and arousal. Originally developed for health and workplace applications, they're increasingly finding their way into parenting products. Some companies now offer biometric monitors for children that send real-time emotional updates to parents, flagging spikes in anxiety, shifts in mood, or potential emotional outbursts. While this sounds helpful, it raises critical ethical questions. Who decides what a child should feel, and when that feeling becomes a problem? This is precisely what Arkangel dramatizes. When the child Sarah sees a threatening dog, the system censors the image. The dog becomes a blur. Her fear is neutralized, not by reassurance, but by intervention at the level of perception. Her biological stress response is interrupted. Her worldview is altered. And the neural pathways that process fear, threat, and recovery are left underdeveloped. This is not safety. It's neurological sterilization. And it has consequences. Because the more discomfort is removed, the more emotionally fragile the child becomes. Sarah begins to lose the ability to respond to violence, to overstand danger, to emotionally mature. Her brain never learns to regulate fear, because fear itself is filtered out. Now let's connect this to the real world of AI content filtering in education. Today, schools are deploying AI systems that track students' eye movement, facial expression, and screen engagement to detect confusion, boredom, or distraction. Other systems auto-flag inappropriate content, restrict certain visual stimuli, or even mute offensive language in real time. Again, the justification is safety. But the result is the same as in Arkangel. Children are not being taught to navigate complexity. They are being algorithmically shielded from it. And the more we build tools that filter experience, the more we interfere with the natural development of emotional intelligence. This is the slippery slope that Arkangel lays bare. Once we believe that surveillance is parenting, we stop preparing children for reality. We prepare them for compliance. Sarah's mother believes she's protecting her daughter. But what she's really doing is creating a world in which her child never has to struggle, never has to cope, never has to decide. The result is not resilience. It's psychological dependency on an interface that dictates what's safe and what isn't. And the scariest part? This isn't speculative anymore. We're already building this interface. The question Arkangel forces us to ask is not whether technology can protect our children, but whether it should. The implant in the episode doesn't just track location or stream audio. It actively alters what the child sees and feels. By filtering out disturbing images, painful experiences, and even signs of emotional distress, the system reprograms perception itself. This is where the episode shifts from cautionary tale to technological prophecy. Because right now, we are already deploying tools that filter not only content, but consciousness. Let's take a closer look at real-world analogs. Companies like GoGuardian and Bark are used in schools and homes across the U.S. to monitor and restrict what children see, type, search, and say online. These platforms use AI to detect signs of depression, anxiety, bullying, and self-harm. When triggered, they alert teachers and parents in real time. Sounds responsible, right? But here's the deeper issue. Who defines what counts as a threat? And what happens when a child is flagged not for what they've done, but for what the algorithm predicts they might feel? We've now entered the era of emotional surveillance as a proxy for intervention. Children are being watched not just for safety, but for mental compliance. Their inner lives are being tracked, interpreted, and in some cases, regulated. And it doesn't stop at schools. Major corporations are beginning to use emotion AI in retail and customer service, reading faces and voices to optimize interactions. These tools are marketed as empathic. But the same technology, when applied to children, becomes emotion management by algorithm. This brings us back to Arkangel. When Sarah is a young child, the system filters disturbing images. She can't see violence. She can't perceive danger. She's cut off from even mild emotional friction. Her mother doesn't see a problem because there's no outburst, no panic, no fear. But what the mother doesn't understand is that those responses are part of healthy development. A child must learn how to experience discomfort in order to regulate it. To be brave, they must first feel afraid. To mature, they must confront and metabolize pain. The Arkangel system removes this possibility entirely. And as Sarah grows older, her behavior becomes erratic. She begins to test limits not because she's unstable, but because her emotional intelligence has been hollowed out by design. Now think about what this looks like in our world. We increasingly tell children that safety is the absence of discomfort. We regulate their online environments. We censor emotional conflict. We remove intellectual friction. But in doing so, we eliminate the psychological immune system, the ability to adapt, interpret, and recover. The emotional filter becomes a crutch, and eventually, a cage. Let's look at another disturbing trend: geofencing-based parenting. Apps now allow parents to draw invisible boundaries around school zones, neighborhoods, and homes. If the child crosses a digital perimeter, an alert is triggered. Combine this with wearable heart monitors, camera access, and screen control, and what you get is a total behavior management platform. Parents can see where the child is, how they feel, what they're looking at, and who they're talking to, all in real time. And here's the dilemma. Once you have that much access, it's nearly impossible to give it up. The more you see, the more you monitor. The more you monitor, the more you intervene. The more you intervene, the less your child becomes an independent self. This is where Arkangel hits hardest. Sarah's mother doesn't intend to harm her. She's just trying to help. But her version of help is total sensory control. The result? Sarah loses her ability to make moral decisions, not because she's bad, but because her moral instincts were never allowed to form. And when the system finally fails, when the daughter rebels, when the control breaks, the outcome is violent. Not because of rebellion itself, but because of the vacuum created by a childhood without agency. What Arkangel reveals is that parental surveillance is not neutral. It's a form of psychological shaping. And when we shape without respect for autonomy, we don't raise safer children. We raise more fragile ones. The deeper message of Arkangel isn't just about control. It's about what we lose when we try to eliminate uncertainty from parenting. In the episode, the mother's desire to prevent suffering leads her to adopt a form of digital omniscience. She watches her daughter's every move, intervenes in every emotionally charged moment, and ultimately edits the world her child lives in. But that desire to protect becomes its own form of violation. And we're already watching this play out. As AI-integrated parenting tools expand, we're redefining what it means to keep children safe. The definition now includes tracking emotions, managing sensory input, and preempting conflict, not through guidance, but through automated design. In the name of protection, we're building an ecosystem of products that equate discomfort with danger. Let's look at how this plays out in real-world policy and marketing. Tech companies are now developing AI nannies, voice assistants embedded into toys and home devices, trained to track speech, learning pace, and emotional tone. They offer feedback to parents in dashboards. Is your child stressed? Did they show signs of frustration during their homework? Did their tone change when they spoke to you? This is sold as insight, but in practice, it becomes an indirect form of behavioral scoring, where parents begin to rely more on charts and notifications than on actual human attunement. Instead of developing connection, they develop remote analytics of their own child. Now apply that logic to education. AI-based learning platforms like Century Tech and Squirrel AI are using emotional recognition to adjust pacing, flag boredom, and optimize outcomes. On the surface, this sounds like customization, but it introduces a dangerous precedent. When emotional response becomes a metric, children are not learning, they are being optimized. And optimization, as we know from the world of algorithms, often comes at the cost of complexity. In Arkangel, Sarah becomes the product of optimization. She is safe, managed, censored, and emotionally unformed. Her sense of trust is not built, but dictated. Her ability to tolerate ambiguity, pain, or confrontation is never developed. And when she finally enters the real world, unfiltered, it hits her like a system shock. She witnesses violence, she experiences attraction, she feels fear, and for the first time in her life, there's no filter to hide behind. This is the core issue. When we filter reality to make children feel safe, we are not preparing them for life. We're preparing them for obedience. And that obedience isn't based on respect. It's based on surveillance. Let's pause and examine the philosophical depth here. Childhood is not supposed to be perfectly safe. It's supposed to be structured exploration with intolerable risk. Emotional pain, like embarrassment, sadness, jealousy, is not trauma. It's how humans build emotional language. When we remove every challenge, every sharp edge, every unpredictability, we deny children the tools to become resilient, moral beings. And Arkangel shows us what happens when we do just that. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11x published author, and what you just watched was only a taste of what's inside the Truth series, where we go all the way down the rabbit hole. If you're the kind of person who's always asking bigger questions, who knows there's more to this world than what we've been told, then this is your invitation to the series that was built for you. Inside the Truth series, you'll get full access to 6 mind-blowing sub-series designed to wake up your highest intelligence and decode the matrix we live in. 1. Locate the truth. Learn how to actually research, not just what to search, but how to verify, cross-reference, read declassified files, and protect your own mind from weaponized misinformation. This is truth-seeking, decoded. 2. The Mandela effect. Are we shifting timelines? Why do so many people remember a different past? We break down the most bizarre, undeniable examples of reality glitches and what they tell us about consciousness and control. 3. Law is magic. Law is not what you think it is. From word spells to maritime law and hidden contracts, we uncover how legal systems use language like a wand and how to stop being tricked by fine print that binds you without consent. 4. Entertainment or ritual. The Hollywood and music industries are not just for entertainment. From Super Bowl rituals to Grammy stage symbolism, we decode what's really being shown, who it serves, and why mass consciousness is the target. 5. Decoding dystopia. Ever wondered why dystopian fiction feels prophetic? In this subseries, we decode popular films and books, Hunger Games, 1984, Black Mirror, to reveal the hidden blueprints and predictive programming behind the plot. 6. MK Ultra plus mind control programs. This one gets deep. From real MK Ultra documents to modern symbolism in media, we expose how mind control operates in plain sight and how to free yourself from manipulation you didn't even know was happening. And that's just the beginning. If this resonated with you, click the links below and join us inside the Full Truth series, because the more you know, the harder you are to control. This is your awakening. We don't just ask questions, we find answers. Let's go all the way down the rabbit hole together.